Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm all by myself today. Whoa. My co-host, Dr. Amin Moderi, is traveling and won't be here for a couple of episodes. So I'm here holding down the fort. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis. You're listening and watching the Today Show, streaming live right now on Laurie Davis Facebook page, YouTube channel, and of course, our home channel, the Disability Network, the Disability Channel. Also like to just put a plug in. Please go to Facebook, the Disability Channel, and request to be a friend of ours. We're looking to add to our following all the time, and same with my Facebook page. So the only thing we ask our viewers to do and our guests is to just share the show. People can come in as a guest. Maybe that's something you'd like to do. If you have an interesting story or a very special product you want to promote, a journey that you've taken that you need to get your message out there, we actually are really proud of the fact that we feature our guests and hosts and co-hosts at no charge. Did you know back in the day, I paid a lot of money to be on people's podcasts, shows, features? But we don't do that. So feel free to let us know if that's something that is of interest to you, because we're already booking for the new year. And 2025 is going to be a really big year for us in the show business. I bet you've seen my button. This is an actual button, and it has a little clasp on the back. Enjoy life. This is not a dress rehearsal. Isn't that powerful? I found it. I have lots of things because I've been around for a long time. And I go through boxes and I find little treasures and things that I used in my when I was speaking professionally. So I thought I'd share that with you today. So because Tuesday is our Money Matters Day, Financial Day, Business Day, I thought, well, I'm going to get on the air today and I'm going to talk about being an entrepreneur. And what does that look like? And what does it mean? And what kind of life is it? Well, it's been terrific for me. I was a school teacher by profession, so my background is education. And that was a big leap to jump from a regular paycheck, pension plan, benefits, all of that, because I had 15 years invested. And I also had become a vice principal of the school where I was teaching. And I was a vice principal for 5 years. So I was moving up in the system, and I really had a lot on the table, you might say, in terms of my professional life, my career. And one of the big challenges for people who would love to have a business, they don't know how to make that transition from that conventional in the box job to becoming an entrepreneur. So way back in the early 90s, when I first started our business, there were a lot of people losing their jobs. Maybe that's you right now. Losing their jobs, cutbacks, corporate cutbacks, government cutbacks. And so people were looking for ways to generate money and generate revenue, maybe by having their own business. And that's what I did. While I was still teaching, I jumped into a direct selling company, and we sold cosmetics and skincare. And that's what I did to transition. I did something part-time, and about 4 years into that career, that's where I learned how to sell and market myself and build my confidence. It was like a stepping stone to actually moving into a corporation and having my own company and business. So it can be done. I mean, there's nothing more conventional than a school teacher, right? So whatever job you're in, it's going to always pay you what the job is worth, not a penny more. It has nothing to do with your value. And that's what I realized when I was, excuse me, teaching school, collecting my paycheck, but then I built my business, started building my sideline. And of course, I've always had some kind of side, a catering business on the side. I was making lunches and meals for my colleagues, and they were buying it from me. It was just crazy. And I thought, I've always got to have some little sideline. I liked earning the extra money, and I enjoyed the people that I met and all of the beautiful things that I was learning. So I stepped out of that box full time and went directly into my sales and marketing career. And I was there for 12 years. So I was very accomplished and successful in that business. But it wasn't really that I was a great salesperson. I believe the success came from the fact that I could teach other people how to sell the product, how to sell the product. And so here I am now in my own business for 32 years. I had my first business, however, when I was 12. And people say, well, what did you do when you were 12? Well, when I was 12, and I've told this story before, my dad had been not fired, but the company had downsized and they went under, and he was left without a position. And back in those days, there were no severance packages. There was no compensation. You had to go on unemployment insurance, which was maybe something like $36 every 2 weeks, and feed your family on that. So I went to my dad and I said, Dad, I can help. And he said, well, what could you do? You're 12. And I said, well, I already babysit and I can clean house and I know how to walk a dog and I can do lots of things. So he helped me. We made my homemade flyers and we put them in all the mailboxes on my street. Well, the next thing you know, it was easy for me because in case of an emergency, my parents were right there. So people would hire me to keep their kids. And I was too young to have a boyfriend. So they knew that I wasn't going to be bringing some guy in while I'm taking care of their family. So that's how I got started. And I loved the excitement of that. And my dad soon got back to work and I kept the business going. And I kept house and babysat and cleaned and I did all kinds of things. So, which leads me to my first topic, which is if you're thinking about a business idea, if you have an idea of something that you like to do, and maybe you're a full-time parent, maybe you've got a full-time job, it doesn't matter. Don't let that stop you. We're never too busy. We can be productive. I worked my business while I was teaching. Let me think about that. I was teaching full-time and I worked my cosmetic business. I did presentations twice a week. And a year and a half later, I had 150 customers buying product from me just on 2 presentations a week with, 3 or 4 people around the table. And pretty soon I was making more money in my little sideline, you might say, than I was teaching school. My dad was a bookkeeper. So I sat down with him and I said, look at this, Dad. Well, he said, you're making X amount of dollars teaching, but you're only bringing home half of it after all of your deductions and benefits and this and that. So let's look at, that's called your disposable income. So let's look at how much money your business generated last year and how much of that you were able to keep after you were able to deduct your expenses, which is a big advantage in having your own business. Because let's say let's say I made 10,000 in profit. After expenses, maybe that profit dwindled down to 4,000, and now I only have to pay taxes on the 4,000. It's really the only legitimate way we have right now to save money on taxation, because businesses have write-offs and you can claim your business expenses. And this really supports your disposable income at the end of the day. So he helped me with that. So I was in the business for 4 years, going into my 5th year. And that's when I decided to resign my teaching position because I was making more money it was a financial decision. More money in my business than I was bringing home teaching school. And I made pretty good money teaching school because I had a nice licensing status and so on and experience. So that was my decision. That was the kicker. And I think for most people, that is the kicker. It's the money. And of course, on Tuesdays, we talk about money. Money matters. Money does matter. And taking that leap, but I did it transitionally, teaching part-time on the side, left teaching, went into full-time into my business. And then 12 years later, or 10 years later after that, I thought, wow, you know what? I could be the corporation, because I was working for a company that was already corporately structured, a direct selling company. So they took care of all that. And so, wow, I thought, I don't want that responsibility. Well, no, I wasn't ready for that responsibility. But by 1992, I was. I was ready to pack that in. I had made them tons of money. I'd had a free car for 10 years. I came out of that business. I had a new Cadillac every 2 years. I didn't even know how much a car cost when I came out of there. So, you know, the company I'm talking about, the one that gives away Cadillacs of a particular beautiful feminine color. So there were things about that that built me up, gave me some tools that I needed to then be completely on my own, incorporated as a business. And it's been amazing, an amazing journey. So I've been self-employed totally since actually 1984. So that's 40 years. 40 years, I have not collected a paycheck from anybody else but myself. So I'm really excited about that. I didn't know if I'd make it. I did a lot of things wrong, but I did a lot of things right. I made mistakes along the way, but that's part of what this is all about. And so that's why my button, enjoy life. This is not a dress rehearsal. We've got one kick at the can. So I know so many people who hate their jobs. They go to work every day because they need that money to pay the mortgage, pay the daycare, buy gas. And things have really escalated since COVID. The cost of living has gone up 30%. And that's a lot in a short period of time. So people are really feeling the pinch. And I'm so grateful because I was able to ride that wave of COVID. My business plummeted. It went down. It's not the first wave I've had to survive, but it went down because we're in the people business. And even my online business, which I've been doing since 2002, started to plummet as well because people couldn't afford to, well, they had priorities. So let's say during COVID, I'm a single mom and I needed to pay my light bill or go to a workshop. What am I going to do? I'm going to pay my light bill. So our business leveled out. But the beauty of it was we'd been in business for a long time. We have tons of beautiful products, and we knew it would only be a matter of time when things would be different again. And we'd agreed we would just ride that wave. I almost thought of retiring, packing it all in. But what would I do? Sit on the couch, eat potato chips, watch television? No. So I waited it out. And now we're back. We're back, leveling off and regaining our position. So it was a very interesting time, COVID, for every business. And I could have been one of the statistics. 250 million businesses went down during COVID and never opened their doors back up. So I could have made it 251, or not 51, but you know what I'm saying. 251 million businesses. Yes. 250 million businesses around the globe have not been able to come back. But guess what? You find a way, you make a way. There's always a way to do something differently. So one of the things that I did during COVID, and I'll get back to your business idea in a minute. One of my projects was, because I had time on my hands, I was invited to participate in a compilation book called Ignite the Entrepreneur, which included 34 other entrepreneurs from around the world. And we produced this during COVID because people were really losing their jobs. It was another one of those times in history when people started to become a little more resourceful because we're struggling, right? So that's what I did. And I'm trying to find my article, which I will, but I'm in here anyway. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So I wrote an article, and it's the story of my journey as an entrepreneur, starting out as a teacher, the one that I just told you. And my power statement, we all had to come up with a power statement at the top. And my power statement is money, and I don't care how much money you may have in the bank, money does not generate great ideas. It's great ideas that generate money. So think about that. Now, I have a special story about that. And it's a little business. Well, it's a big business now, if it's still in existence, if it survived COVID, on the East Coast, called Dunster's Donuts. And Dorothy Dunster was a homemaker in a little neighborhood in New Brunswick, Canada. And the girls would get together for coffee. And Dorothy would bring the donuts. And they were homemade donuts that she made herself. And one day, one of the girls said, Dorothy, would you mind next time we do coffee, if you bring me a dozen of your donuts, I'll buy them from you. Well, Dorothy thought that works. Pretty soon, all the women in her little coffee club were buying her donuts, and they were having their donuts with their friends. And the last time I knew about Dorothy Dunster's donuts, there were truckloads of them being delivered to restaurants, bake shops, and coffee shops. There were trucks with Dunster's donuts on the side. That's what I mean. She didn't have any money, but she had a great idea. And she had people who wanted to buy her idea or buy in. And all the food chains that we know about, all the ones that we've gone to for 50 years, they all started out as a great idea. You know, Colonel Sanders at 65 was going to take his own life because he was down and out, but he had this wonderful fried chicken that he sold out of the back of his truck. And that's why I put up my banner yesterday. It's small business that leads to bigger business. The problem is a lot of people get into business and they want to start at the top. I have another story of my own. I had a commercial space. I've always had a commercial space. And we were at the office one day, and this was before electronics and cell phones, etc. I had a client that I had been talking with, and she needed to make a couple of phone calls. And I said, well, you can use my phone at the office. So we go to the office. And we have several offices within that complex. And I was going around while she was on the phone. I was going around, I was emptying garbage cans, and I was cleaning the toilet, and I was tidying up and swept the floor. And she said, well, why are you doing that? You're the CEO of the company. I said, well, how do you think I got to be the CEO? Because we were willing to do everything. We were willing to do whatever it took. If it meant cleaning a toilet, well, that's what had to be done, so we did it. And I'd love to have $1 for every hour that my husband spent on the road picking stuff up, delivering programs, because all of our workshops are hard copy. Back in the day, there was no digital. We had everything printed and packaged and mailed out, and I still do that on some occasions. So we have lots of great stories, but my story began with an idea that I had been an educator, I had been in sales and marketing, but I could see big gaps in those educational models. things that we were never taught in school, things that I didn't learn in my career as a salesperson and a marketing person. And I thought, wow, I should bridge that gap. Perfect for me, right? Workshops, education, promotion. I should bridge that gap because the one thing that was missing in all of that was the human element, that emotional side of us that is really in the driver's seat when it comes to making our decisions. And so I decided to do something about that because I realized three things. Most people are walking around feeling like there's something wrong with them. People lack confidence. They're not able to take risks and do something different. And number three, poor communication skills. So I decided to do something about that. We are, in fact, our own wealth. So if you, and I don't mean just money, when I say wealth, I mean money, time, quality of relationships, family dynamics, healing, getting the trauma all healed up so I could be the best version of myself. People really don't have any idea about how powerful they are. They just settle for whatever they think they deserve. And some people don't even think they deserve to be well, or to be rich, or to have a nice home, or to take a trip, or they don't think they deserve that, so they never go anywhere and they never do anything. Starting a business is risky. There's no doubt about it. But my dad served a big company for many years and was given that golden handshake. What was secure about that? Nothing. So it's all risky business, whether you have a job, if you're a volunteer, if you're working a business, it's all risky. But guess what? It's nothing that you can't handle. That's the thing. Because once something shows up that you think you can't handle and you believe in you, I believe in myself. And a lot of people have given up on me over the years, but guess what? I never gave up on me. I'm still doing what I've always done. I deliver my workshops every single day of the week. There's somebody on the other end of this microphone with my mentoring in a workshop. That's how we earn our money. That's how we put food on our table. It's how I earn my living. All right. So money does not generate great ideas. So right now I want you to think about whatever it is that you love to do. What do you just absolutely, you're passionate about it. You love the idea, whether it's making fancy cupcakes or sewing or laying bricks or putting a roof on a house, or what do you love to do? Well, I love to help others and I love to communicate. That's why I do my shows. This is strictly volunteer. I love doing my broadcasting. That was always my little sideline, which I'm pretty sure is going to turn into money this year. 25 years I've been broadcasting. Oh, because I love to do it. So, what do you love to do? And when you figure that out, there's probably a business or two hidden in the realm of that. I love to create. So I've created all kinds of workshops, over 1,000 now. I started out with 10. Now we have over 1,000 workshops to support people. Whatever your situation is, we probably have a workshop that would mentor you and help you through that situation. We don't really have problems or issues. We're in situations that we don't know how to handle ourselves because we don't have the toolkit. All right, so back to my story. So when we got our books, they're so beautiful. The quality of the paper and everything about them. They're just gorgeous. And here's our publisher, JB Owen. I'd like to have her on the show sometime soon next year. In the new year, I'll have her on. She has created a whole series of Ignite books. Ignite Love, Ignite Your Family, Ignite the Entrepreneur. So when I got the books, I ordered books. Of course, we got copies. I only have 4 or 5 copies left out of my order, but I went, wow, this is golden. This is a textbook for entrepreneurs. Wow. So I put some paper, a pile of paper, because I like to create. Do you like to create? What do you like to create? You can turn that into a business because nobody will do it quite like you will if you have an idea like that. And then we're going to talk about why people don't follow through on their ideas. But I do. When I get an idea about something, I follow through. So the books came. This was 2 years ago now. I laid some paper out on the table. Lots of blank sheets. And I numbered 1 to 100. And every day I would put something on beside the number, like an idea. And what that turned into was 100 workshops for people who are serious about being a professional entrepreneur. You see, an entrepreneur is someone who sees opportunities and turns them into money. And I'd rather get paid every day than once every 2 weeks. That's one of the things I had to transition from, was this mindset that I only have that amount of money coming in every 2 weeks and I've got to budget that and make it work. I found that very uninteresting. That was not interesting to me. I mean, I did it, and that's the way we were brought up and conditioned and so on. But once I started money coming in every day from my sales business, I thought, this is cool. Oh, I don't have to wait till the 15th to get a paycheck if the people I'm working for are still here, right? What can you trust now in terms of that? So 100 workshops. That's 100 hours dedicated to learning how to be a professional entrepreneur. So I broke it down to 2 workshops a week. My clients came. I put 4 people in the workshop. I had 4 clients, an international real estate agent, Dr. Ramin Modiri, our financial guy. He came to those 100 workshops. He never missed one. Never missed one. Perfect attendance for a whole year. It takes a year. I had 2 of my colleagues are facilitators. So my first group was a group of 4, and they graduated. And then I had a second group. And we worked through the 100 workshops. And it was so much fun because once a week, twice a week, then you have the whole week to practice what you just learned. And that's the success of our workshops has been that way. People come for an hour, get the information they want, go back home, practice it, implement it, and the next thing you know, it's successful. So one of the topics, workshop number 66, there are millions inside of me. You see, a lot of people think the money is out there somewhere. They think it's out there. No, it's in here. Because with every idea and creative idea that you have, that's about generating money. Kathy has a question. Were those workshops online? Yes, since 2002, when this technology became available. However, prior to that, we worked in person. People would meet in their groups at the office or around my kitchen table or wherever. So groups in person. And today we do both. During COVID, I was so grateful. I didn't have a lot happening, but I already knew how to be online. Being on Zoom for me was 20 years ago. So again, that opportunity presented itself and I grabbed it, that technology. We didn't have any cameras, but we could do voice over internet protocol. And it was there was a delay. You know, I went through 3 or 4 companies till we found the company that could accommodate us and so on. Trial and error. So what happens when you get a great idea? What do people do when they get a great idea? Well, that's another one of the workshops, because guess what? Here's workshop number 90. The average person has 6 $1 million ideas each year. The average. Well, if you're above average, you probably think of more ideas. I think of 2 or 3 business ideas every week, but I'm only one person. But now I look at people and I see what they have to offer, and let me help you turn that into a business, a real business. And that's what these workshops are all about. So I couldn't believe that I actually came up with 100 workshops. I call it 100 Shades of Entrepreneurship. Because where can you go to learn how to be an entrepreneur? You can go get an MBA degree and learn about business. You can become a financial planner. You can, all of those things, but that doesn't really put you in the trenches of having your own business. So this is an area that I'm always busy filling gaps. Remember, I told you I wanted to fill up the gaps from the public school system, and then sales and marketing. And then, so the thing is, you know how you know when you're old? You're old when the day comes that you no longer have a dream, or you no longer know what it is you'd like to do. That's when you're old. So I'm rather like Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood is 93. He's still making movies. And someone asked him, Clint, why are you still making movies? And he said, well, I just never let the old man in. And I'm going, I'm never going to let the old woman in. So when we have a great idea, what do we do with it? What kind of excuses do we use to dismiss the idea? Last night, I was awake from 4 a.m. till 5:30, which is very unusual for me, but I woke up and I couldn't get back to sleep. 4 brilliant ideas popped into my mind while I'm just laying there resting and thinking about things. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's how I could get that done. Oh, I need to delegate that. What kind of excuses do we come up with so we do not act on our great ideas? So if I hadn't have acted on getting in this book, creating my 100 topics, finding 4 people who would help me pilot the workshops, if I hadn't acted on it, we wouldn't even be having this conversation today. So what is it holding you back? What's your excuse? I don't have the money. Well, if I ever waited for the money before I did anything, I wouldn't have done anything. I don't have the time. Yeah, everybody gets the same deposit of 86,400 seconds at midnight, which equals 24 hours. What are you doing with yours? You see? Anybody can do what they want to do if they're focused and they have some help and you get direction. I had a lot of very good people come into my life when I started my business. They supported us financially, morally, emotionally. Lots and lots of very good people. So what's your excuse? What's a great idea that you've been thinking about for a long time? What do you like to do? Maybe it's photography. I love that. I took a photography course. I could have been a photographer if I had chosen that. And if I had chosen that, I'd have had a big studio and I'd have been doing all kinds of things. You see what I'm saying to you? Back to my button. Enjoy life. This is not a dress rehearsal. Who can support you? Who would back you up? Well, the people who care about you are a good start. And then surrounding yourself with other people who have great ideas, who want to be in business as well. And I built that around me. I continue to build that around me. I see? Because I decided that I wanted to earn my living on my terms. I didn't want anybody telling me what I was going to get paid, to be there at 9 till 5, 5 days a week. You work all year for 2 weeks of holidays. Really? And no tax breaks. This was a no-brainer for me. Did I know it would be as tough as it was? No. If somebody had told me and had predicted to me what I was going to have to go through, I probably wouldn't have done it. But I know I'm strong and I'm resilient and I'm creative, and I can always come up with something that I need. So, for example, in our first 10 workshops that we delivered way back in the day, that's all we had. A woman came to me, one of my clients, and she said, Laurie, my 14-year-old son could really use this information, because it was all about esteem and confidence building, communication. She said, my son could use this. Do you have anything for youth? I said, no, but leave it with me. And the next thing you know, I had 40 workshops just for teenagers. We have that. So if you have a teen struggling out there, contact me. There's no need for that, because we have to have the right toolkit to function. And we're doing a session on bullying on Mondays, and that's even more important to strengthen up our kids. And so we have a youth program. People would come to me with needs. Then one of my clients said, Laurie, my husband and I are really struggling. Have you ever worked with couples? I said, no, but would you like to be the first couple I work with? And they said, sure. Now we have a beautiful 3-month process for people who are struggling. But this is what entrepreneurship is about. It's about expansion and activity and creativity and meeting people's needs. And by the way, only on a couple of items have we had a price increase, but our baseline workshops, we have not increased the price in well over 10 years. And it's very cost effective to be in a workshop, because we wanted to be able to make it that way so that people could afford it. And then I was told, well, you don't have a psychology degree. How are you going to help people and get paid for it? All of those naysayers who wanted to poo-poo my great idea. And I said, well, you're allowed to have your opinion, but I will show you that it is viable. And we work in the repair and restoration of self-worth. That's what we do. And that has helped so many people from so many walks of life. Because it doesn't matter what your professional background is, how much money you have, what your ethnic or family of origin is. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. Everybody has had trauma. And the first thing that trauma does is damages your self-worth, the value that you're not able to place on yourself. That's your self-worth. And a lot of times I've had clients say, well, a particular workshop, well, that's kind of expensive. And I go, well, you know what? If you don't think you're worth that, then you really need the workshops to get to that place where you're worthy. So it's a win-win for everyone. And that makes it very, very fun. And I get up every day and I do a show, but I choose to do that. That's my decision. If I want to do my show and then take an hour off, that is my decision. And I just read an article not too long ago where a lot of retired school teachers have bladder issues. Are you ready for this? Because they only got to go to the bathroom, not when their body was asking them to, but they couldn't leave their classroom to go to the washroom until recess and lunch hour or after school. And that put a stress and a strain on people's bladders. And I'm like, wow, never thought of that. There would have been another side effect of staying in that profession. I loved it and I enjoyed it very much. So to be wealthy, this is workshop number 66. We are our own wealth and health. And we interchange those two words because we think they mean the same thing. Wealth is health, health is wealth. So we're it. If we don't take care of ourselves, our health will fail. And if we're not productive, our money will fail, our wealth will fail. So to be wealthy, we need three things. And this is what my class room full of people said to me. First of all, do what you love. If you're not doing what you love to do, get out of there. It'll kill you. It will impede your health. You'll be like I live in an oil town, and there are men here who go up north and work, and they're away for 2 weeks, then they're home for 2 weeks, but they absolutely love their work. They love it. So do what you love. A great idea that you have. Then B, you add enormous value to it. I don't say this publicly very often because I don't want it to be received as being arrogant or self-promoting, but we have actually saved people's lives. And I can say that with all due respect to the fact that it wasn't me who saved the life, but I showed them how they could save their own life. I can't teach people anything that they don't want to learn. If you don't want to learn, I can't help you. But we show people how to have those healthy relationships, how to get well. We have 40 workshops just in wellness alone because we realized in working with people, so many people were sick and unhealthy. And that's generally because they were emotionally not well, because they were doing things to create stress in their body, and then that stress leads to sickness. So it's like a holistic approach to being the best version of yourself. We don't make medical claims, but we've had clients come back to us and say, Laurie, I'm not having those migraine headaches anymore that were plagued me all my life. But that's because they were busy cleaning up inside. We don't save anybody, we don't heal anybody, but we show them how to do that for themselves. Now, if you were going to build a house, and the only thing you had was a hammer, how far are you going to get? Not very far. You need tools. We need tools. So we created a toolkit. And our entrepreneurial toolkit I'm so proud of that because it includes leadership training, communication training, healing, personal development. It has all those aspects within the framework of the workshops. So we just ask questions. Here's what it looks like. What is my great idea? What is the execution date? And what is my level of conviction to get my idea off the ground? We show you how to do that. Isn't that cool? Because when I started my business, yes, I had training, how to sell, how to book an appointment, and how to recruit people. And that was it, pretty much. It wasn't all these other beautiful things that we need in order to be successful. And I was still successful anyway, because I was constantly learning. I was constantly reading. I was constantly educating myself so I could become the best version of myself. And I know we have invested over $1 million just in me to travel, to learn things, to have mentors, to find the right people that could support me with certain things I wanted to do. You see? So anybody can learn to be an entrepreneur. I'm convinced. I know it to be true. Now, here's another thing. Procrastination. Workshop number 75. Why we procrastinate and drop the ball. So many people start things and they never finish them. Maybe it's a quilt. Maybe it's an Afghan. I had that problem. I'd start something. I could build it from nothing, take it to the finish line, and then I drop the ball. I could have had the biggest catering business in the country just selling lunches to teachers if that had been my focus. There's opportunity in everything, but we're always looking for what's not going on, what's not happening, what's not working. Oh, and by the way, you're guaranteed to have things not work out. But if you don't have the guts for that, then maybe you should just stick with your job, because not everything that we try works out. But without the failure, we cannot be successful, because we need the failure to teach us things, what not to do, what not to do. So it's okay to fail. It's all right. It's a learning curve, and we must fail in order to be successful. But a lot of people are afraid of that because then they get embarrassed, or they're shy, or they think everybody will laugh at you, make fun of you. And well, too bad. This isn't about them. This is about us. So what is it that you're procrastinating about, and why you can't finish something that you start? And it's very, very, very out there. Dropping the ball. That leaves money on the table. If we drop the ball, we don't get paid. Each of us has our own set of fears that are the root of procrastination. So what am I afraid of that will happen if I stop procrastinating and I drop the ball? Well, you know what people are afraid of? It might work out. It might be successful. You think? And I know that's what people are more afraid of. What if this thing works out? And then nobody's going to like me anymore. Well, you know what? I had to get over myself. I've lost family members, friends, colleagues, clients, all who couldn't handle me, or didn't like the way I was doing things, or whatever. But guess what? I'm still here doing what I've done for 32 years, loving every minute of it. I have no desire to retire. To me, that's a death wish. You just go downhill after that. So procrastination is rooted in fear. And every midnight, I get another 24 hours invested in me in a thing called time. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older now or what, but time has become extremely precious. And I don't want to waste any of it. I'm up, I'm dressed, I've got my face on, I'm good to go. 7 days a week, by the way. I work Saturday sometimes, I work Sunday, my choice. But I don't understand, because I did have that, what I call weekend mentality. You have that when you are in a job, because that's your free time, you think, or your time off. But last week I had visitors from out east. I wanted to take Thursday off so I could make them lunch and have them in my home. So I could make that happen. I don't have to call into work and lie to them and tell them that I'm sick and have my buddy show up. There's so many advantages to being an entrepreneur, but that's another whole day, right? So I just wanted to share with you some of the things that we discuss in 100 Shades of Entrepreneurship. So we're going to be starting up some new classes in 2025. We don't put more than a dozen people in a workshop at a time for this particular product. Oh, and here's another one. Look at workshop number 63, Balancing My Business. And this shows people how to balance their lifestyle around their business so that you're not consumed and you can still have a life. Because remember, enjoy life. This is not a dress rehearsal. See, it all boils down to this. I had these buttons made one time. Well, I had the big button and then I had smaller buttons. But isn't that a great button? And actually, the people that made these buttons was a manufacturing place in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and every person that worked in there was disabled or mentally challenged. And they would make us the greatest stuff in the whole world for our business. It was amazing what they did. And I supported that. And that's the thing. And I'm just thinking about this now, Miss Kathy Bell, who's listening here today. I supported the disabled community 30 years ago when I was teaching school. I remember in the cosmetic business, I went and did a group of girls who had Down syndrome, and I taught them how to do their skincare and put on their makeup. And now I'm gifted back with my opportunity here at the Disability Channel. You see, what goes around comes around. It might take years. So when the opportunity came up to broadcast with the Disability Channel, I went, I'm there, because that's a piece of who I am. It had nothing to do really with the broadcasting. It was, wow. And last week we had our 150th episode on the air with the Disability Channel, and we haven't even been here a year yet. So I'm excited about that. I think that's really powerful, commendable, says a lot about, the channel and what we're doing. And Kathy, I want to thank you publicly because you're a big part of that, getting our shows shipped down to your home TV. And so it's just, helpful all the way around, everything that everybody does. And you made a comment here, Kathy, too. It's amazing to provide meaningfulness to employment to people with, yeah, you bet. They're people. They are people. And Kathy, I don't know what we'd do without you. You hardly miss a show, and that's great to be here live so you can make comments and support us. So those are some examples, because today I wanted to talk about being in business and being an entrepreneur. And most people around me are entrepreneurs. I love to hang out with them, be with them, and exchange ideas. And it's just been an amazing journey the past 40 years. Where did those 40 years go? Well, I just don't know. I just can't even begin to tell you. So that's our show for today. And thank you for being here and watching and listening. Tomorrow, we have two very special guests because it'll be our third episode in our gang series. We did 3. We had decided we would do 3 shows. And my co-host, Dr. Ramin Modiri, is out of town. So I'll be joined tomorrow by 2 of my friends, one former gang member, and my second friend who worked in the justice system for 17 years, supporting kids who were in gangs and helping them to get out. So they'll be with me tomorrow to talk from a really credible place of experience about what we're facing with the presence of gangs in our community. And I want to send prayers out this morning to Malibu, California. They're on fire right now. If you haven't seen the news, there's a big fire threatening homes and burning in the big canyons there. They've closed down the Pacific Coast Highway, and it's just such a beautiful area. And we know people in Malibu. So prayers and energy going out because that fire has not been contained yet either. So we're keeping a close eye on that today. And prayers to all of our friends in that area of California, and making sure that you're all safe and can save your homes for sure. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis. You've been watching the Today Show here on the Disability Channel, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same station, to share with you part 3 of our gang series. So bye for now. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk soon.